Well, hello and welcome yet again. If you couldn't tell from the title of this video, we're checking out another mount. This time it is by Midwest Industries and it is a cantilever mount in 34mm with quick release attachment. This is a pretty nice mount. Comes in just under $200 and is a one-piece design, albeit with the caps being separate, obviously. The one thing to note about this mount, other than most other cantilever mounts, or at least some that I've reviewed so far, is that the quick releases are on the right-hand side, not the left-hand side. If you're like me and you run bolt actions, that is something to take note of, because more than likely you're going to have interference issues with your bolt and these levers. Now, the overall fit and finish on this thing is surprisingly nice. As you can see, made in the USA, and for sub $200, this thing has a lot of really nice features. Albeit you can't switch out the caps like you would on American Defense Recon, but you might not be after that. You might just need a really good, simple, quick detachable mount. One thing that this mount does take from, yet again, the ADM Recon are the style of locking nuts on the side, which allow you to tension this for your particular rail. Not all rails are the same, and it's nice to be able to disconnect this, pop this over, and make an adjustment for tighter or looser. But you got to make sure that you get the flats in the proper orientation, because if not, you go to release this or go to tighten this and you're going to jam this nut into that body and you could damage it. As you can see, there are two big springs in there that give positive pressure from this clamp off the rail once you disengage it. On a pick rail, keep in mind that you do have these two solid crossbars that have to lock into the pick rail, and you have a gap in between this. Not all pick rails on all guns have a full pick rail like you see here. Some of them do have a block in the middle where it's not milled. So keep that in mind if you are looking to buy one of these mounts. Anyway, slide on like so, push forward, and when you close the clamps, these front locks prevent these from coming open. These are actually very similar locking clamps to Vortex UH1s or Hueys. Push and release. Very easy to get to, and they work. Once you lock them in, as you can see, these aren't going to come undone ever. This entire mount from top to bottom is very nicely done. The finish on it is very even, and there's no sharp edges anywhere. It's exactly what you'd expect from a high quality American-made mount. Same thing with the bottom. It's beautiful. The finish is even, and there's no sort of imperfections anywhere that I can personally see. Granted, this is a used mount, so there are a couple of scuffs here and there. And this finish, if you do hit it with your nail, as you can see, does mark up pretty easily, but it also cleans up very easily as well. So the last thing to talk about before I get this thing mounted up when we do a ReZero test is the weight. Comes in at just under 9 ounces at 8.78, and what I have right next to it to compare it is a American Defense Recon, also a cantilever, and as you can see, it's almost a full ounce lighter. So as you can see, this Midwest Industries mount is not the lightest thing on the market, but it's only by about an ounce heavier than something like the American Defense Recon. Now, there are other options out there from LaRue and stuff like that. I have yet to get my hands on them, but for right now, know that this thing is a little bit heavier than what you could get on the market. This is the Midwest Industries Cantilever Quick Release Mount with the Steiner T5 XI 3-15 at maximum magnification. As you can see, we are lined up as close as we can on that crosshair to the center dot. I'm going to attempt, rather poorly I'm sure, to disengage the locks because they're on the wrong side. 1 and 2. I'm going to remove the scope entirely, put it back. Going to do the front first, then the rear, and you can see that we're really close. We're really close, but it's not 100%. Let's do that again. Maybe it'll settle in after the first or second time because I've had that happen to me before. Take it off, put it back on, push forward. First lock, second lock. That's looking pretty consistent. So we are 2 for 3. Disconnect again. Let's see. Back on, push forward, front lock, rear lock. That looks really consistent to me. I'm gonna say that this Midwest quick release mount passes the ReZero test. At least well enough for me. So, good job. And in case you were wondering, this is what the mount looks like with an optic in it. In my opinion, it's a really good looking mount, but I kind of wish the quick release levers were on the opposite side, but that is for me personally. I run a lot of bolt guns, this thing doesn't work for me. It might work for you, you might be a lefty, or you might be running an AR style carbine where it doesn't really matter. But objectively aside, this mount is fantastic. And there you have it. All told, this Midwest Industries mount gives you everything that you might need from a quick release cantilever mount. It holds the optic in there very well, and it resets to zero perfectly fine. This mount does everything extremely well. As long as you're looking for this particular setup, I wouldn't hesitate to buy a bunch of these. Another thing it does really nice, it has a nice big flat area on the bottom so you could level your scopes extremely easily. Take your caliper or veneer, come underneath, twist up, make sure it's nice and flat, and you're good to go. Anyway, that's all going to be all for this video. This is a really good mount. If it's something that you're looking for, don't hesitate to pick one up. I guarantee you'll like it. Thank you very much for watching. See you again next time. And a very huge thank you to all of my Patreon providers. Without you, this wouldn't be possible. If you'd like to help support the channel but don't want to join my Patreon, I completely understand. But you can still help support by using my affiliate links in the description below. Thanks again for watching.